Then thank you very much. My name is Florian. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Trinckle 3D. At Trinckle 3D, we're automizing designing processes within the 3D printing industry. Why this is super important and how we do that, I'm going to present you now. Here it works, sorry. Within 3D printing, you need basically two things. You need a printer, I put on the right side, and you need a design, which I put on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, for the 3D printer, happened actually a lot of progress. So these machines are able nowadays to produce parts pretty cheap and at a good quality. And you can find them in a lot of everyday products, like my shoes, for example. The soles are printed. You find it in airplanes. You find it in a lot of medical devices. So there are a lot of improvements happened. But on the other side, where the design is actually happening, not a lot of stuff happened here. And at least the fact that most of the designs are manually designed. And why this is a problem, I show you with this little example here. This is a copper inductor which is needed in the automotive industry to heat up certain tools. It's always uniquely designed. And the problem here is it's pretty easy to actually produce via 3D printing. It's much cheaper than the process before, but the designing itself is much more expensive than the actual production. And since it always has to be designed from scratch, those costs are much more critical. So we came into game and thought like, okay, what can we do here about to actually make this whole designing process more cheaper and faster? And we came up with a solution to actually automate designing processes within 3D printing. So we came up with a software called Paramate. And with software, we are able to translate construction knowledge into algorithms. And with this software, we were able, in this case, so we actually applied it. Sorry, this little thing is not so well working. With this software, we were able to automate the full production process of these copper inductors. And we're even able to make construction so easy that people without any construction knowledge were able to construct things. So it was kind of a configurator, and a configurator that was even able to run in the web shop. And thanks to our software, we were able to cut down costs for designing, in this case, dramatically, from €350 to €8. And not only we were able to cut down the cost dramatically, also the lead time. Before it took 3 to 4 weeks, now we were able to deliver parts within 4 days. And with this, we did just win the production, the Industrial Product Application Award of the 3D printing industry. And when we go out and pitch it to our customer, we always try to claim, hey, if you are going into another production method like 3D printing, do not only think about the production cost itself, also think about the designing costs you have always in these kind of processes. And the good thing is we cannot only do it for these kind of copper inductors. We're doing robot crimping systems, for example. We're doing a lot of tools within the automotive industry, actually. We're doing kind of all the different devices for Deutsche Bahn, for example, where it's here in this case is we automatically generate different braille signs. And we're doing a lot of medtech devices, where it's, for example, about customizing orthotics based on scan data of customers, all automized. And what we see is that within 3D printing, you have a lot of applications, and for all these kind of applications, you need kind of designing processes that has to be automized. And we see our system as kind of the operating system for 3D printing, and especially for all these designing processes. Thank you.
Okay, cool. If there are very important questions from the audience, then we will allow them. Any pressing questions from you guys based upon this pitch? What do you need is my question to you. What do you need from people in the audience now? What are you looking for?
Oh, we're looking for partners for projects, actually, to getting some new use cases, some new customers. That would be most helpful. And of course, if there's investment interests, we're always looking for some financings.
Yeah, but what kind of companies to address
Industrial
it more
production
specifically?
companies most of the time, especially if they are kind of familiar with 3D printing already. That would be perfect.
Okay, great. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Give it up
Thank
for Trinckle, ladies and gentlemen. Great. Who is in logistics here in the audience? Okay, maybe you have to think about another target group because there's no logistics here. Can you, do you have another?
Basically not, because we do arrival times for logistic companies and people who wait for logistics. So basically each private person waits for a packet at home.
Okay,
Might be interesting.
who knows somebody who is in logistics? Yeah, oh, hey, you
Finally
see?
some.
Okay, so please bear these people in mind, listen to his pitch, yeah, and then make the connection. Okay, the 4 minutes are yours.
Thank you very much. So I'm Andreas, one of the founders from Synfioo, and we deal with estimated time of arrivals. So we provide reliable, real-time, and door-to-door visibility in supply chains. So we take a single route, which is in your supply chain, have a look on what occurrences are there, what challenges arise, and for each such events, we provide an impact. What does it mean for your current transportation? And based on this information and a lot of more information, we provide an arrival time for each certain position on the way, but most importantly, also for the final destination. And having this information, providing visibility in your supply chain helps you to act proactively whenever something happens in supply chains. And supply chains are currently very complex, go over multiple modalities like ship and road. So usually something breaks there, and we help to identify this basically before some impact arises for your production lines. So, oh, here is it. Correct. And unfortunately, currently only 6% of the companies take advantage of the insights in supply chain management and visibility of supply chains. All others just wait until something happens and have to react afterwards. And if you have a look on supply chains, they're, as mentioned, very complex. So for instance, you start in your factory, just usually there's a strike, so you can only go off a day late or something. So you're already late with your transportation, but you have some buffers inside. So you feel like, oh yeah, everything will be fine. But on the way, there might be some traffic jams for your road. You might miss your ship at some point in time. You have to reschedule then, for instance, a flight to get over the ocean to the US from Hamburg, for instance. So a lot of issues may arise, and we help you to see them in advance. And seeing them in advance help you to avoid delayed deliveries, production downtimes, stock outs, and long waiting times. For instance, also when your truck arrives late on a warehouse, it had a slot before, and if it's late, it can't use the slot, and then usually has to queue in the end and waits another couple of hours, and resources get wasted. And as mentioned before, it's important to cover all modalities. So in today's logistics, not just one modality is used, but we work with automotive companies. They start here in Germany, get over a harbor in Rotterdam, for instance, to the US, and there until the Middle East of the US. So a lot of different vehicles are included, and each of them has several challenges to arise. So for road transportation, there might be congestions, traffic bans, etc. For the ships, we do have weather and stream issues on the ocean, so a lot of things happened. And we consolidate all the information. We keep an overview on all these modalities and all the infrastructure. We know what happens there and can relate this to the transportations of our customers. And based on this information, they get reliable information. And at the time being, Synfioo is the only player on the market who can provide reliable arrival time predictions for intermodal transportations based on live and historic data, as well as machine learning and artificial intelligence. And for instance, as Roy just mentioned in this talk before, we're working together with SAP, integrated in the SAP Transport Management, and now benefit each other from the opportunities we can make there. And you can use us on several possibilities. So here is integration in SAP. So basically, it's a traffic light system. Here you can see the red traffic light for transportations which are much too late, the yellow ones which are in trouble, and the green ones you can just ignore because they go very fine. And besides, also some mobile and web solution. And so basically, you can use it however you want, integrate it in your system, and stay in touch with your supply chains.
Andreas, great job. Very nice presentation. I mean, there must be people here from the Asia Pacific region who have now very big, like, possible connections, clients for him. I mean, this is what makes the world go round, right?
Sure.
Logistics. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Do you already have clients in the Asia Pacific region?
We have the German clients who gets per ship to the Asia Pacific region.
Yeah.
So it's the other way around. And he used our service to inform his customers on when to arrive there, that they can do the pickups with their trucks on time and don't have to wait a couple of days until the ship actually arrives.
And do they then also have to log into your system? Because they could then also already be potential customer too, if they know that system.
Sure, it's possible, but our system is built that way that, in this case, our German customer decides how to inform his customers, and he decided for a push message via email,
Yeah.
but it can be anything.
Okay, great solution. Yeah, I mean, I see some nodding faces here. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Some smiling people even. So, full of ideas they are. Final, any questions from you guys? Yep.
Just very quickly, I come from insurances in a way in innovation, and are there insurances that insure this logistics supply chain and that are interested in your service to decrease their cost in a way?
We haven't talked to insurance yet, but it's something I would definitely open to and would be happy about it.
Great idea. Thank you. Yeah, very good idea. Okay, no more questions for Synfioo. Okay, thank you so much, Andreas. Applause for Andreas, ladies and gentlemen. Great speech. Great company. Precognize. Your name is, sir?
My name is Frank.
Frank.
Frank from Precognize.
Super. Go ahead. 4 minutes.
Okay. Okay, I hope somebody's here from the process industry, because Precognize is a solution for the process industry. We already work with Siemens Mindsphere, yeah, and you will see how that comes together. Semguard probably offers one of the best solutions for predictive monitoring for the process industry, and in particular the process industry, because they have unique laws when it comes to prediction. What do we mean with predictive monitoring? A plant is striving to improve overall equipment effectiveness, not just predictive maintenance. They want to make the plant perform better in all aspects. And that's defined by technical availability, the performance of the processes, and the quality, the outcome. So you need to address all three of them in order to achieve OEE. And our predictive monitoring includes machine learning. We listen to small signals, but then need to differentiate between statistical false positives and real problems in the plant. Okay? And what do we see? We can detect failures, equipment failures. However, also change the process behavior if the process is deviating from its normal or optimal standard. If an operator, for example, does something he's not supposed to do and the operation is impaired, and thanks to the use of soft sensors or virtual sensors, we also can do quality issue root cause analysis and improve the quality. So when it comes to OEE, you need to look at the entire plant, the entire asset, not just the hearts and the key elements of your industry, yeah, the equipment. Because usually the failures occur in the dark sides of your plant, the small pump, a valve, or something like this. And that's why Semguard is covering the entire plant, thousands of sensors at the same time. Okay. Now, if a customer works already with Siemens and is on Mindsphere with this data, we take the data either from the DC or from the historian. Then We're talking equipment data and process data, both. It will be digested and analyzed in the SemGuard analytical engine and displayed at a user interface. Very simple. And then from here on, the events can be managed in MindSphere again. So it's an end-to-end solution. Now, a little bit about technology. We start with the data in the historian. 13 months, about 1 year of historical data to train the machine learning algorithms. That's happening in an unsupervised process in order to determine clusters of normality. Yeah? It's all about determining the normality of each and every sensor, thousands of them. Obviously, there are more than one state of normality for each sensor, so you have several clusters. It could be batch production, could be seasonal, could be ramping up production and then turning it down. Never mind. The machine learning is capable to determine every state of operation as long as it occurred in the past history. This is what we call then our baseline machine learning. Consider this the first pillar of the solution. The second pillar is a digital model of the physical asset. Yeah? So we take in the data headers, then the physical structure, the skeleton, is being built in a very methodical process. If it's available in MindSphere or in SAP or in other ERP systems, we can take in some of the digital structure. But what's not available in digital format is the behavior of the plant. This is in the heads, in the minds of the domain experts. That's why we need the expert involved. And that's also a great thing because the people believe in the solution. It's not a black box solution. They can trace what they've done, and the results will be traceable. This is how the human eye sees the plant then. It's all interconnected. However, this is how the machine sees a plant. Thousands of tags connected. And the software turns the plant into a mathematical graph that takes care of the relationships between the instruments, okay? And let's assume up here you got a problem. Something is developing here, yeah? Oh, sorry. You get graphs. You see vectors with correlations between instruments and processes. So again, left historical model, new online data is coming in every minute, on a minute interval, thousands of new data points, and the graph analysis is aggregating them, determining is there a real problem or is it just a statistical anomaly that I can ignore, and the operator just gets a simple, clear alert. Okay, the user interface sees your entire plant as a pie diagram and the actionable issues immediately here. And any type of equipment, any type of problem, and it should work automatically. Yeah, end-to-end solution. Data from MindSphere into the SemGuard analytical engine, determining the process behaviors, and you get the events which you can then continue working in your environment. Okay, entire plan.
How long do you need? Probably more or less?
10 seconds.
10 seconds, okay.
Yeah. No alert fatigue. This is as important as predicting the right thing. No alert fatigue. Very fast implementation. And no need for data scientists because the analytics is done in the lab. Okay? So we improve your overall equipment effectiveness in the process industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Great. Explaining such a complicated topic very, very clearly. I mean, even the machine learning part was very, very interesting, and the clustering. I actually never knew that it worked like that. Very interesting. Thank you. So, who has a question?
Please.
Yes. Oh.
It's a subscription.
How do you monetize?
Subscription model. It's a software as a service. We usually start with a 3-month pilot and then annual subscription.
Who builds the model of the plant? That's the operator at your client.
We provide the template and the domain experts fill the template. Everything that's digitalized before can be imported, but again, the behavior is something that's only in the minds of the experts.
Okay, thank you so much, Frank, for this great pitch. Thank you
You're
for the
welcome.
explanation.
Come
Great
and join me. I'm around if you got questions. Happy to answer.
Okay, and where will you then be exactly?
I'll be around, where the Siemens sign is there, over there.
But at the Siemens side. Okay, great stuff.
Or come to Israel where the R&D is located.
Okay, yes. Instafreight? Oh, float. Okay. Okay, so float, where are you? They're coming. Okay. We're floating around, yes. Okay, last pitch before we go to the coffee break. It's a daunting task. Yes, I really admire you guys, really, I truly do. I mean, it has been quite intensive content-wise these last couple of hours, but these last 4 minutes, we don't want to miss them, right?
Yes.
So you're going to make them worth our while.
I'll try.
Yeah, you will.
Bear with me. Bear
Yes,
with me.
yeah,
Okay.
you look very energetic.
Well, maybe that's the look of it. We'll see. We'll see. Let's judge
Okay,
afterwards.
float.
Okay, cool. So thank you so much. My name is Ricardo Colon. I'm working at Lab 1886, which is the Daimler startup incubator. And today we're talking about Float. I'm the project lead and founder. So Float is essentially about urban mobility and more specifically about urban micromobility. So focusing on the trips, the daily trips and urban trips up to 3 kilometers. We see from a macro perspective, obviously, that 50% of all the trips that we make on a daily basis are in that range, which amounts to around 2.5 billion in the top 5 German cities alone. However, disproportionately, these trips are being traveled by car, so 40%, with a just natural or classic combustion engine. So pairing that with the challenges with regards to CO2 emission, as well as scarcity of parking, there's I would say a need for alternative modes of transportation and mobility services. So we see a lot of movement and a lot of hype in the market. Obviously, we've seen all this money pouring into the industry. However, what we see is that the experience and what is being offered is fairly fragmented, right? So we have all these different players that have raised significant funds, however, just focus on one part of the micromobility journey. The goal of Float essentially is to consolidate that. So having one micromobility service that combines all different modes of transportation, from e-scooters to e-bikes to e-mopeds to ride-hailing services that are suitable to travel these trips. So in essence, what our mission is to provide what we call operating system of urban mobility. So we want to provide all urban mobility assets consolidated on one platform, make these available on a subscription basis, but also using the data that we generate and provide that to municipalities and cities. Essentially, the idea is to roll out with, I would say, smaller assets, starting with e-scooters to e-bikes to e-mopeds, but the focus is going to be to create a consistent user experience across the board. So no matter where you are, where the service is being offered, you always have the same mobility experience. The one thing that is new and is different about the model is that we very much focus on providing a select user experience. So what we see right now is a lot of, let's say, standardized products, standardized hardware that is being used, and we're very much focused on providing a technologically, as well as from a user perspective and convenience factor, superior hardware. We're one of the only providers out there in the market that has hardware that is compliant with German regulation. Maybe something to be noticed, given the fact that tomorrow is supposed to be, the regulation should be passed on those being on German streets. So when we talk about mobility services, it shouldn't be confined to just the end customer, but one of the key partners that we work with are cities. So one thing that is vital to us and the concept that we have is to work together with municipalities. As such, we want to provide a platform, a software tool that allows them to have transparency and control over all mobility assets that are accessible. So this is not just confined to what we operate, but essentially an open platform that allows the integration of all services in a given ecosystem. The idea is to have simulation features that would allow for smart infrastructure development and planning. So the monetization model is fairly straightforward. So comparing this with a price per minute model, we want to have a subscription-based model for customers as well as for business clients as well. In the business context, this would be comparable to like a mobility allowance. So we are fairly advanced with the product. We are kind of in the pre-launch states. In the last days, before actually rolling this out to our first launch market in Helsinki. Essentially, we have exclusive partnerships with the most sophisticated manufacturers in the industry, a fairly, I would say, flexible financing model to operate that, and a first technical proof of concept with around 3,000 rides being traveled over the platform. Apart from that, we have the approval of 19 cities to roll out with our first target market, Helsinki, in around 1 or 2 weeks. So when we look at Germany, I think this is the most pressing point. Tomorrow onwards, as I said, could be the starting point of maybe craziness here or there, but the focus is actually to providing a holistic and comprehensive model across not only Europe, but globally. So the team behind it is not necessarily focusing on with a corporate background, even though we are a Daimler company. The founding team is very diverse, pairing the experience of high growth startups as well as with deep mobility expertise. So we're ready. The product is ready, and we're very much looking forward to rolling out, and also to your questions that are next to come. Thank you.
Really amazing job.
Hopefully not
Yes.
too energetic.
I think I saw some people with like the term flexible financing.
Yes.
That sounded really. Is that good or bad? I don't know actually.
I mean, depending if you want to optimize your cash flow, I think that's a positive thing to not be sitting on asset cost.
Okay,
that's good.
Great. But it seems like you thought it all through, and very exciting to start now finally with the product launch and getting the feedback from the customers, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, but very interesting model. Many questions, I assume, because it's new in Europe now, and yes.
Sorry, again a question. Can you pitch? Can you pitch the most innovative hardware you see right now and in the future out of your fleet, please?
Okay. Without going into specifics and naming, but it's about making sure that the way these assets are supposed to be operated, that there's a technical support behind that. So from sensors on riding on pavement, as well as making sure that there is a technical possibility to regulate the speed, for example, compliance, safety. These are some of the things that are being incorporated in the overall hardware design. Right, so this is across the board, so from the e-scooter to the moped, across the entire fleet that we're operating.
Did this answer your question, or?
When I thought you were even bringing in new vehicles, because I think the vehicles that are there are just pumped into that system through the platform from the producers, and it's waste. It's just not what we need.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's one part of it, and the reason why we want to counteract that is to have a multi-asset approach. So it's not about pumping and dumping, but making sure that we have assets in a portfolio that is consistent with what users want. So, thank you.
I have a question. Do you integrate with any other companies with e-scooters, bikes, and so on, with various systems through API?
Yes. So generally, the answer to that is ideal state, yes. However, let's say if we have a mobility as a service platform, there is, I would say, incentives that speak against kind of opening up the platform to a third party that would kind of own the customer interface. Therefore, it is our approach in the beginning to own some of the assets and the experience itself. But generally, yes, if we find partners that are willing to do that, more than happy to consolidate.
And do they want to integrate with third part?
We do. It's just more of finding the right strategic partners.
Hey, when we talk about e-mobility,
yes.
What is your approach in charging those vehicles? Because there's different approaches in recharging those batteries, or be it docking stations. In order to acquire a bigger mobility within the city, if I have to bring the vehicle all the way back to a docking station, that limits my mobility within the city.
That's
so
right.
I've seen different models. For example, in Taiwan, they have those electric scooters where you just rechange the battery and then you get a new battery. But I think if you make it too complex, then that might be an issue, right?
Well, the great thing about it is that the partners that we have put that into consideration. So every battery that we have is swappable on the spot. So we don't have to actually move. Go ahead.
So do I, as the customer, have to?
No, absolutely not.
So I'll just use the device and then I give it back, and that's
exactly. And we have professional operators who do that for you.
Sweet.